29 years ago, in the summer of 1994, when the hit songs were Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg and Tootsie Roll, I started my law school career here. I remember so vividly sitting where you are today. I was entering the unknown and yet excited about the journey ahead. My decision to enroll in law school was not one that I made lightly. Like some of you, I left a rewarding job that provided me with a reasonable amount of financial security, like benefits. In fact, at that time, a gap year wasn't a thing. Most of my college friends were not pursuing advanced degrees. They were more interested in establishing their careers, working to pay off their student loans, traveling the world, settling down, starting a family, buying their first home, or doing all of those things. So there wasn't anyone in my peer group who was going through a similar transition in life. My decision to enroll in law school and move across the country from Washington State to Syracuse also meant that I had to leave the security of my community and support network of my family and friends. Again, not something that my friends were doing at that time. And like some of you, I was not a legacy law student. While I have a large extended family of physicians and veterinarians and professionals, and my parents both have advanced degrees, I did not have lawyers in my family, in my life, in fact. In fact, the only lawyer I knew growing up was my neighbor, who I babysat for when I was in high school. And I had lost contact with him in the years that I was in college. I did not know any lawyers, and I really had no idea of what to expect in law school, other than what I learned through reading and watching the paper chase. I remember sitting in that big auditorium, much like the one you're in today, full of emotions, excitement, and some nervousness. I was charting new territory for me, my large extended family, and my friends. And I have to admit, I don't remember much about what was said that day by the speakers. But what I do remember is a little exercise that one of the speakers had us do, taking a page from what has been infamously shared over the years with new law students, and originally credited to Roscoe Pound, who was the dean of Harvard Law School from 1916 to 1936. And it goes a little something like this. You've probably heard it before. Look to your left, and then look to your right. 3 years from now, only one of you will still be here. Now, the speaker who addressed my class went on to say that Roscoe Pound's address was a scare and intimidation tactic that law schools used with incoming students, and that Syracuse Law, in contrast, is a nurturing place where the faculty and staff support students' success. But the message of not everyone will make it through law school came through loud and clear, and was one that I, quite frankly, found shocking and surprising. I remember thinking at the time, wow, this is true. I feel really bad for the two folks who were sitting next to me because they won't be here at the end of the 3 years. Little did I know at that time that the speaker was actually talking about me. I was that person who wasn't there at the end of the first year. But I'm here today, and I want to share with you a little bit about my journey. I want to share what I've learned with you through my academic years at Syracuse, and I want to share with you what I've learned through my professional journey. And my hope is that you will take some of what I share with you today and find some use for it in the future. In the late summer of 1994, I started my law school career. As I mentioned, I was excited about the journey ahead. Between college and law school, I worked for 2 years in higher education as an admissions counselor for a liberal arts institution. I was back in school, eager to learn and earn my law degree. Unlike undergrad, where I did not incur any debt because I had academic and athletic scholarships, as well as the financial support from my parents, for law school I was on my own, funding my education through loans. Knowing that this was a significant investment that I was making in myself and my future, I went to class. I studied, and I studied, and I studied. Occasionally I went out and had some fun on Marshall Street, but most of my time was spent studying. I did not have a job. I didn't have family responsibilities. All my efforts were dedicated to studying. Admittedly, I did not have much balance. The year was going well, so I thought. I made it through the first semester. And in the second semester, I made plans to study abroad in London for the summer. I closed out the academic year in May, taking the finals for my core classes, Civ Pro, Con Law, Crim Law, Torts, and Property. Expectedly, the questions were challenging and thought-provoking, but I left the exams feeling confident. Not so confident that I had aced each exam, but confident that I had put in more than enough time studying to pass my classes. I was wrong. On the last day of my internship in that summer semester abroad, I learned that a letter from the dean's office had been sent to my parents' house. My parents called me in London, they opened my mail, and read the letter to me. I will never forget that call, and hearing them say that the letter was notification that I had been academically dismissed from law school. Imagine my surprise and devastation. And the irony that I had just completed a summer semester, which I funded with additional student loans toward a degree program that I was no longer enrolled in. Now, I won't go into all the details of the emotional roller coaster that I was on during that period in my life, but I will tell you a few things. First, I flew back here to Syracuse that summer and met with the dean to appeal his decision. While my grades may not have reflected what I learned over that first year, I did learn how to formulate and present a persuasive argument. And although the dean did not readmit me for this fall semester as I had asked, he did agree to upgrade my dismissal to a leave of absence, with the option to return as a 2L after 1 year. Second, I didn't leave the Syracuse area. I stayed right here. At the advice of a Syracuse professor, I went over to the School of Education and enrolled in classes as a non-matriculating student. As you can imagine, I felt rudderless, and my confidence was at an all-time low. Taking classes in a discipline that was familiar helped me in regaining my confidence. After 1 semester, I applied for admission into the Master of Science in Higher Education program and petitioned for a waiver of the GRE test requirement, arguing that my LSAT scores should be accepted as a substitute. They agreed. Third, after the first year of my master's program, I decided to stay in the program to complete the degree instead of reapplying for readmission as a 2L after my 1-year leave of absence. While the master's program was a deviation from the plan I had made when I enrolled in law school, I learned a lot through the first year of that program and needed to see it through to completion. I graduated in 2 years at the same time as my law school classmates. And fourth, instead of applying to be readmitted as a 2L, I decided that I would start over as a 1L. As humbling as that was, I knew that I needed to reset my foundation, and that decision would serve me well in the long run. And I was absolutely right. In 1997, for the second time, I sat where you are today, but with more life experience, a different perspective, and mental attitude. My approach to law school was different the second time. From the experience that I had in 1994, I learned the importance of balance, something I didn't practice the first time I was a 1L. The second time around, I didn't just study. I made time for other things: family, friends, extracurricular activities, and a job. Sure, I still had to put a significant amount of time into studying, but I studied smarter. And my different approach the second time paid off because I made the dean's list most semesters and I graduated cum laude. I may be in rare company, but I enjoyed law school. It taught me a lot. I learned about the law and critical thinking. I discovered how to think differently. I also discovered a lot about myself, and I grew as a person. I learned about resiliency, and I learned about grit. And as hard as it was at the time, I wouldn't change one thing about my journey. Now, why did I just share my story with you? It's because you're about to embark on a journey, an incredible journey, and you don't know the road that's ahead. It may go perfectly for you. Or, like me, there may be some bumps along the way and not go as smoothly as you hope or plan. But it's your journey, and you can make of it what you want. Know that there are multiple paths to success, and there's no one definition of success. Law school and my Syracuse law degree has taken me to places that I could not have imagined when I started. And that can and will happen to you too. For example, I worked in private practice for an international law firm and negotiated endorsement deals for Serena and Venus Williams. I went in-house as a junior lawyer for a multinational company with an iconic brand where I've spent the last 18 years of my career. I went to the White House and met with former Attorney General Loretta Lynch and other Fortune 500 executives in support of Ban the Box and to discuss other ways to mitigate recidivism. I led the legal strategy on some of Starbucks' highest brand risk matters. When 2 customers were arrested at one of our stores in Philadelphia in 2018, and the company had to navigate a highly publicized crisis, I was on the ground advising our CEO and our COO, and I got to lead with my values to resolve the claims in a creative way. I'm proud to say that our former CEO is a mentor to those 2 young men, and we have maintained a positive relationship with them. And earlier this year, I directed the legal team who prepared Howard Schultz for his testimony before Senator Bernie Sanders and the Senate Help Committee. And I sat right behind Howard during his testimony. And just 2 weeks ago, I transitioned from general counsel to a business role as an executive advisor to our new CEO. I'm the only person in the 52-year history of Starbucks who went from the most junior lawyer position as a corporate counsel to the top seat as general counsel. And I'll tell you, when Starbucks founder and former CEO Howard Schultz came back in 2022 to serve as interim CEO and asked me to be his general counsel, he didn't ask me one question about my grades or my law school career. Have I had career disappointments along the way? Absolutely. But I've learned it's about the journey and not the destination. I've learned that if you work hard, the opportunities will come. I've also learned that when one door closes, another, and often a better one, opens. The law is a very special type of learning, unlike anything you have experienced before. Law school will enrich you as a person and stay with you forever. In closing, I want to leave you with just a few tips to navigate your journey ahead. Stay curious. Study smart, but make time for balance. Do the things that you enjoy doing. And lean on your support network. Don't be afraid or too proud to ask for help. I will forever be grateful to my parents, family, and friends for their unwavering support and encouragement, which, in the face of obstacles, led me to pivot and not quit, and to persevere. So with that, congratulations. I'm excited for you and the journey that's ahead, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.